Get comfortable tonight. We travel back to the wide, open plains, a place of wind, firelight, and endless sky. This is the story of Sitting Bull, the fearless Lakota leader who stood against the might of America, a man guided by visions, faith, and the unbreakable spirit of his people. Through battles, hunger, and betrayal, he never bowed. His courage became legend, his voice, eternal. You're watching Evolution History Hub. If you love living through history, remember to like, subscribe, and journey with us into the past. Feel the weight of the blanket over your chest, the warmth where your hands rest, the slow rhythm of breath. Outside, the plains breathe too, endless, whispering in the night wind. The air smells of wood smoke and faint sage, carried from a distant fire that cracks and sighs beneath the stars. It is spring 1876, and you are Tatanka Iotake, Sitting Bull, camped with the Hunkpapa Lakota along the rolling grasslands near the Powder River. The buffalo herds have thinned, their hoofbeats less certain on the horizon. Some say only a few 100,000 remain where once there were millions. Each morning, scouts return with the same quiet reports: more wagon tracks, more smoke pillars, more white tents blooming like sickness across the prairie. You rise before dawn. Frost clings to the edge of your robe, sparkling where the first light meets the cold. A dog barks once, then curls back into sleep beside the lodges. The camp stirs slowly, women feeding fires, the smell of boiled corn and dried meat thick in the chill. You touch the small leather pouch at your chest. Inside are the stones you used for prayer last night, still cool with the memory of the fire's heat. The treaties promised peace, the Fort Laramie Agreement of 1868, words pressed into paper by men in blue coats, had given your people the Black Hills forever. Forever. But 8 winters ago, Custer rode north with his soldiers and gold seekers, tearing through the sacred land as if the words meant nothing. Now, rumor says the Great Father in Washington demands all bands come to the reservation by January 31st, or be hunted as hostiles. January has passed, the snow melted, and you are still here. When you step outside the lodge, the wind greets you, soft, almost polite. You walk to the ridge beyond the camp, where the earth smells of damp roots and smoke. The sun climbs slow, washing the sky in pale yellow. From here, the land rolls like a sleeping bison, peaceful, strong, unaware of the danger creeping toward it. 2 riders appear in the distance, small against the brightening plain. They are messengers from the north, where Crazy Horse and Gull gather their bands. The wind carries the faint rattle of their bridles. When they arrive, their faces are lined with travel and cold. One dismounts, his voice quiet but urgent. They are coming, he says. The soldiers are marching again, from the Yellowstone, from the Tongue River. You listen without moving. Your hand rests on your pipe, carved from red stone taken from Pipestone Quarry, the place the people call the heart of the world. You know what this means. There will be no peace in the coming moons. The white men hunger for gold, for land, for names on maps. That night, the council gathers. Fires burn low. Smoke swirls through the lodges in ribbons. You speak little at first, listening as others argue. Some fear hunger if they stay, some fear shame if they surrender. The young ones are restless. They remember the hunt more than the treaty. When your turn comes, your voice is quiet, steady as water over stone. We were born free beneath this sky, you tell them. The land does not belong to one man's paper. It belongs to the people, and to the buffalo who still run. Outside, the moon lifts above the plain like a polished bone. A drumbeat begins, slow, steady, as if matching the heartbeat of the earth itself. For a moment, even the wind seems to pause. You feel the old power rising, the one that speaks through dreams and visions. It whispers that the path ahead will be dark but necessary. Later, when the fire has burned to embers, you step into the night alone. The cold touches your face, it smells of pine and far snow. You tilt your head to the stars, the same stars your ancestors followed when they first crossed the plains. Somewhere in that silence, you feel them watching still. You close your eyes and breathe. The spark has come. The fire burns low, its light crawling along the curved walls of the lodge. Smoke curls through the vent at the top, slipping into the blue-grey dawn. The smell of cedar and ash lingers in your hair. Outside, the air is colder, sharper than yesterday. A wind from the north. The kind that tastes of distant snow. You draw your robe tighter and listen to the sounds of camp life waking again, horses snorting, children laughing, the rhythmic beat of a woman pounding dried meat into pemmican. The council's words still echo from last night. Some spoke of surrender, of returning to the reservation lands along the Missouri River, where the white agents promise rations and peace. Others, mostly the young ones, spoke of resistance, their voices fierce and restless. You said little after your first words. You have learned that silence can be stronger than shouting. By mid-morning, Gull rides into camp. His horse's sides are flecked with mud, his hair loose around his shoulders. You have fought beside him before, back when the soldiers first built Fort Rice near the river. He greets you with a solemn nod, then crouches beside the fire. They say the white soldiers march from 3 places, he tells you. From Fort Ellis, from Fort Lincoln, and from the south near the Powder River. They mean to trap us between them. You listen as the wind whistles through the camp's poles. How many, you ask? Too many to count, Gal says, but they carry their own fear. Later that day, you walk through the camp with 2 Moons, a Cheyenne scout who has brought word from the west. He tells you of miners flooding the Black Hills, tearing through sacred ground with picks and shovels. He speaks of the smell of gunpowder and whiskey in Deadwood, of wagon trails cut deep into the hillsides where the ancestors once prayed. The buffalo are gone there, he says quietly. Only the smoke of white fires remains. The people begin to prepare, not for surrender, but for movement. Women pack parfleche bags with dried meat, cornmeal, and berries. Men oil their rifles, check bowstrings, shape new arrows. Children gather wood for travois poles. Each movement is deliberate, unhurried, like the rhythm of breathing before a long run. You visit the horses at the edge of camp. Strong, sleek animals fed on the last of the winter grass. The ground beneath them is soft with thaw. A young boy, your nephew White Crow, tends them. His hands are quick but gentle. Uncle, he says, eyes bright. Will there be a great fight? You study him a long moment. His question carries the innocence of one who has never seen men fall in the grass. There will be a great stand, you say. That is different. That evening, the elders gather again. A kettle of stew passes from hand to hand, its scent of wild onion and bison meat filling the lodge. Old Four Horns, your uncle, speaks first. His voice is low and heavy, like a drumbeat in the chest. I remember when we signed the treaty, he says. The white chiefs said they would never take the Black Hills. Now they come again. Their words are as soft as snow, but they melt when the sun rises. Another elder, Iron Cedar, sighs. Can we feed the people if we move? The traders no longer come. The hides bring no money now. The buffalo are far north, you nod. You know this pain well. In 1870, traders paid $3 for a fine hide, but now, the markets overflow with tanned skins from the southern plains. Money means little out here, yet hunger means everything. When the talk circles back to you, all eyes are quiet. We will move toward the Tong River, you say. There, the herds still graze. There, we can gather with Crazy Horse, with Gol, with the Oglala and the Cheyenne. The Great Father calls us hostiles. Let him find us standing together. A murmur passes through the men. Some nod, others look down, the fear plain in their silence. The next morning is filled with preparation. You watch as the lodges are taken down, poles stacked, hides rolled tight. Smoke from the dying fires curls upward into the pale sky. Women tie packs to travois, securing them to ponies that shift restlessly. The metallic jingle of bridles mixes with the deep thud of hooves in thawing earth. By midday, the camp becomes a river of motion, hundreds of people, horses, and dogs flowing north across the plains. The wind carries the scent of spring mud and sage. You ride near the front, your pipe in your hand, the wind tugging at your hair. As you ride, an old man approaches. Bare looking back, a medicine singer who once taught you the songs of calling. His eyes are milky with age, but his voice is steady. I have seen the way the wind moves, Tatanka Iotek, he says. It turns east, then south, like a bird that cannot find its home. You look out at the horizon, where distant hills shimmer like heat. The wind will find its place, you tell him. So will we. That night, the camp halts beside a shallow stream. The air cools quickly after sunset. Children chase fireflies near the water's edge while their mothers unpack blankets and kettles. The sky deepens into violet, then indigo. Above, the stars bloom one by one, their light sharp against the black. You sit beside the fire, the smoke curling around your face. The heat presses against your palms, the smell of wood and fat filling your lungs. You think of the buffalo, of their dark eyes and the way they move together across the land, always migrating, always searching for what the earth will give. The soldiers will come. You know this, but tonight there is quiet, a fragile stillness like breath before a storm. You close your eyes, listening to the slow hum of the night insects, the trickle of the stream, the murmur of sleeping voices. The camp breathes as one. Tomorrow, you will ride again, toward the gathering of nations, toward the edge of what history will later call Little Bighorn. For now, you simply breathe, feeling the earth steady beneath you. The calm before the leap. The sun rises pale over the Great Plains, a soft fire behind a curtain of mist. You stand at the edge of camp, your breath drifting in faint white clouds. The lodges are half taken down, the hides rolled tight and bound with strips of sinew. Around you, the ground is marked with the memory of many fires, small black circles pressed into the thawing earth. You can smell damp ash, horse sweat, and the faint sweetness of sage crushed under hooves. It is April 1876, and the thaw has turned the rivers restless. The Great Sioux Reservation, the land promised to you by the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868, lies hundreds of miles behind. Before you stretches the open country between the Powder and Tongue rivers, where the air still carries the voices of your ancestors. This is no ordinary journey, it is a gathering of Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho, a joining of those who refuse to surrender their freedom to the Great Father's paper laws. The people move like a tide, dogs bark, horses snort, women tie their bundles to travois poles, leather straps creaking under the weight of food and hides. Children run barefoot through mud, laughing, their hair flying in the wind. The camp hums with quiet urgency. You can feel the current of purpose threading through everyone. Not the frantic energy of fear, but something slower, deeper. A knowing that this is the road fate has drawn for you. You mount your horse, a grey mare you call Storm Air, her coat dappled with sunlight. She turns her head slightly, nostrils flaring as the wind shifts east. The smell that comes on it is faint but certain, smoke, too far away to see. White soldiers, perhaps, or miners. You speak softly to her in Lakota. We go to meet our brothers now. With the column begins to move, hundreds of people crossing the plain in a long, winding line. From above, it would look like a river of color. Hides and feathers, bright cloths from traders, the red paint of horses streaking against green earth. Dust rises behind them, a living cloud that glows in the sun. For 3 days you travel north by the Tongue River, following the same paths your people have known since before memory. The land undulates gently, scarred only by wagon tracks and the old trails of buffalo herds that no longer come. Sometimes you find their bones half, buried in grass, white and hollow, scattered like stars fallen to earth. You dismount once to touch a skull, its surface rough beneath your fingers. You whisper a prayer for them. The ones who carried your people for centuries, now nearly gone because of the hunters who shoot for sport and gold. Each night the camp forms a circle. Fires bloom across the prairie like red stars. You sit beside Goal and Crow King, sharing strips of dried meat and stories from old hunts. The air smells of smoke and wet leather. Someone begins a low song, not of war, but of journeying, of the spirit that walks beside those who leave home. You listen, eyes half closed, as the wind carries the melody away. On the 4th day, you reach the confluence of the Rosebud Creek and the Tongue River. The grass grows higher here, brushing against the horses' flanks. A small band of Oglala Lakota waits by the water's edge, scouts of Crazy Horse. Their faces are streaked with dust. One rides forward, raising his hand in greeting. Tatanka Ayatake, he calls. Crazy Horse bids you welcome. That evening, the two camps join. The air vibrates with the sound of drums and voices. Smoke from 100 fires curls into the pale blue dusk. You see Crazy Horse approach, quiet, lean, his hair falling loosely over his shoulders. His eyes are steady, almost distant, as though always watching something beyond the horizon. You have known him since he was a boy. He speaks softly. They say Custer comes with the 7th, he says. Others from the south as well. But the people gather. The Oglala, the Miniconjo, the Cheyenne. All will stand together this summer. You nod. The dream told me this would come. You say, a great victory before the darkness. The spirits have spoken. Later, in the council lodge, the men sit cross-legged in the glow of firelight. The smoke drifts upward in lazy rings, carrying the scent of cedar. Maps are drawn in the dust. Rivers traced by fingers, landmarks marked with pebbles. Scouts report seeing soldier columns moving west from Fort Lincoln and another from Fort Ellis in Montana Territory. The numbers they guess, maybe 200 men, with horses and wagons. Your people number thousands now, families, not soldiers. But in your heart, you know strength lies not in numbers alone. Outside, the night deepens. You step away from the voices, walking to the ridge above the camp. Below, the circle of lodges glows like embers scattered across the plain. A cold wind brushes your face, bringing the faint cry of a night bird. You kneel, pressing your palm to the earth. It feels alive, pulsing faintly beneath the surface, like a great animal stirring in its sleep. You whisper to it, as you always have. Keep us, you say. Guide us. At dawn, frost glitters on the grass. The camp begins to stir once more. Horses shake their manes, sending up clouds of white breath. The smell of boiling meat drifts from the fires. The people prepare to move again, following the Rosebud northward toward the greasy grass. The valley the whites call Little Bighorn. As the day warms, the journey grows harder. The earth is soft and uneven, wagon ruts fill with water from melting snow. Children grow tired, their small legs heavy. You dismount often to walk beside storm air, easing her burden. The wind carries dust that stings your eyes, but no one complains. The silence is a kind of prayer, each footstep a promise to the ancestors. By midday, the sun blazes white. The smell of sweat and horse fills the air. You pass a trader's wagon long abandoned, its wheels broken, its canvas torn. Inside lie the remnants of someone's dream-rusted pots, a Bible, a crushed tin of coffee. You say nothing, but you think of the world pressing in. The iron rails, the soldiers, the endless hunger for what cannot be owned. That night, rain comes. It begins softly, tapping the hides of the lodges like fingertips. Then harder, sheets of water sweeping across the camp. The fires hiss and die. People huddle beneath blankets, voices muffled by the sound of the storm. The air smells of wet earth and smoke. You sit awake, listening. Each drop feels like time passing, relentless, cleansing. In the morning, the world glows clean. Mist clings to the grass. The people emerge, shaking rain from their blankets, laughter mixing with the snorts of horses. Children splash through puddles. You feel a lightness in your chest, brief, unexpected. Even in hardship, life insists on itself. As the journey continues, you meet new faces: lame white man, a Cheyenne chief with a deep laugh and eyes that see far. Wooden leg, young and quiet, always studying the sky. They join your fires at night, sharing food and stories. The languages mingle: Lakota, Cheyenne, Arapaho, all weaving into one voice of determination. One evening, as the sun bleeds red behind the hills, you sit beside a young man named Black Fox, who sharpens his knife slowly, the metal catching the light. "My father was killed near Fort Phil Kearny," he says. "He told me the whites would never stop. Do you think we can drive them away?" You take a long breath before answering. The air tastes of smoke and pine. "We cannot stop what has already begun," you say. "But we can show the world that the Lakota still live, still breathe beneath this sky." "That may be enough." He nods, silent for a long while. Then he begins to hum a low song. A warrior's melody, but soft, almost tender. Days pass. The prairie rolls on endlessly, waves of green and gold under a wide blue sky. You cross the Rosebud Creek, where the water runs shallow and cold. The horses drink deeply. The people rest, washing the dust from their faces. Some of the women sing as they work, their voices carrying lightly over the water. It sounds like home, even here between worlds. But signs of the enemy grow closer. Scouts report seeing smoke columns to the east, soldiers, perhaps, or miners. Once, from a high ridge, you see a faint glint of sunlight on metal far away. You say nothing to the people, but you feel the old unease stirring in your chest. That night, you sit beside the medicine fire with Bear looking back. The stars above are sharp and clear, endless. He throws sage into the flames, and the smoke rises sweet and thick. "You will see what comes before it comes," he says. "That is your gift." You close your eyes. The heat of the fire presses against your face. In the red darkness behind your eyelids, you see it. A vision of soldiers falling like grass before the scythe, of horses without riders, of smoke curling up from the grazy grass valley. You open your eyes slowly. The night seems to hold its breath. "The spirits have shown me," you whisper. "A great battle, but not yet." In the following days, the landscape changes. The hills grow sharper, the rivers deeper, the wind smells of rain and wildflowers. You pass herds of antelope, swift and silent. In the evenings, you hear the far-off howl of wolves, lonely and low. Each mile brings more tribes to join you. The Miniconjo, the Sans Arc, the Blackfeet Lakota, they come with stories of broken treaties, of starving camps, of soldiers burning lodges. Yet when they see your people, they smile. For the first time in many winters, the nations move as one. One morning, as dawn breaks golden soft over the plains, you ride with Crazy Horse at the front of the procession. The two of you speak little. Words feel small before what lies ahead. The wind carries the smell of rain and the promise of something immense. Not victory, but destiny. That night, the camp settles near the grazy grass, where the cottonwoods bend over the river like old guardians. Fires bloom once more, reflecting in the water. You walk among the people, watching them eat, laugh, repair saddles. The glow of the flames paints their faces in amber. You feel the weight of history in your chest. The knowledge that this place, this moment, will live long after the fires have died. You sit down at last beside your own fire. The stars shimmer above, countless and patient. Somewhere beyond them, you imagine the spirits of the buffalo still running, thundering across an eternal plain untouched by man. The sound seems almost real, a deep, rhythmic pulse echoing through the ground beneath you. You close your eyes. Tomorrow more will arrive. The great camp will grow until the earth itself seems to breathe with the power of it. But tonight, there is peace, fragile, fleeting, sacred. You breathe in the smoke, the cool night air, the scent of river grass. You feel the slow, steady heartbeat of the land beneath your palm. For now you are home. For now, the journey holds. The sun is high and sharp over the wide plains, the wind restless and dry. It moves like a spirit through the tall grass, whispering across the valleys of the Yellowstone. You ride at the edge of a great encampment, your people's lodges stretching farther than the eye can see. Smoke rises in thin columns from 1,000 cooking fires, blurring the blue horizon. Horses graze near the riverbanks. Children chase one another between the lodges. The world feels full again, full of breath, full of life, full of power. You have not seen a gathering like this in many years. Lakota, Northern Cheyenne, and Arapaho camps have all come together under the same sun. Warriors paint their ponies in bright colors, each pattern carrying meaning: lightning bolts for speed, red handprints for victory, white circles for protection. Feathers and bone ornaments sway in the wind, the scent of tanned hides and smoke thick around you. This is what unity looks like. This is what freedom still feels like. Just before it's taken, you watch the people move, the mothers grinding corn, the young men repairing arrows, the elders tending the sacred fires. The air hums with something heavy and invisible. Beneath the laughter and talk, there's tension. Everyone knows the soldiers are coming. They always come. That evening, the council fires burn bright. Chiefs from every tribe sit in a wide circle: Crazy Horse, Gold 2 Moon, Lame White Man, and others whose names are carried by the smoke. You sit among them, cross-legged, silent for a long time. The night crackles with wind and embers. Somewhere beyond the ring of light, a wolf howls once, long and low. Crazy Horse speaks first. His voice is calm, almost soft, but it cuts through the murmurs like a blade. They think they can frighten us, he says. They think we are scattered, like the buffalo herds they've slaughtered. But we are many now. Let them come. Murmurs of agreement ripple through the circle. The warriors nod. You see in their eyes both fire and sorrow. They know this fight may be their last stand. When your turn comes, you lift your chin slightly, letting the light touch your face. I have seen what will come, you say. The words hush the circle. In my dream, I saw soldiers falling into our camp like grasshoppers from the sky. Their bodies covered the earth. But after that vision came silence, a great silence. That is what follows the storm. The fire crackles louder, as if the flames themselves listen. The men nod, uneasy but resolute. They have heard of your visions before, and they know your words often carry the weight of truth. The vision and the dance the next morning, you prepare for the sun dance, the ancient ceremony that will bring strength and clarity. You have done this many times before, but never with so much resting on the outcome. The sacred cottonwood pole has already been raised in the center of the camp. Tall, straight, its bark stripped clean. It is the axis between the earth and the heavens, the line where prayers climb toward the Great Spirit. As the sun climbs higher, drums begin to sound, deep, steady, like the heartbeat of the world. Hundreds gather around the circle. Men and women watch in silence as the dancers, stripped to the waist and painted with sacred symbols, step forward. You are among them. Your chest is painted red and yellow, the colors of life and courage. Thin slivers of bone pierce your skin, connecting you to the pole by leather thongs. Blood already seeps down your ribs, but you do not feel pain. You look toward the sky, arms raised. The drumming grows faster. The dancers begin to sway, their voices rising in prayer. Dust swirls beneath your feet. The sun burns white in the sky. You dance until the world fades into brightness, until your breath becomes the rhythm of the drums. Then it happens. A vision comes. You see soldiers. Hundreds, maybe thousands, their blue coats shining like beetles under the sun. They ride fast, their flags snapping in the wind, and then, as suddenly as they appear, they fall. One after another, tumbling from their horses, their faces pale, their hands grasping at air. The plains swallow them like grass in the wind. The drums fade, the voices soften. The earth steadies again. You stand, weak and trembling, blood on your chest, dust in your mouth. The people are silent, waiting. You raise your hand and speak. I saw soldiers falling from the sky. You say, your voice barely more than a whisper. They came against us, and they died. A murmur rises through the crowd. Oh, fear, belief. The old ones nod, murmuring prayers. The young warriors grip their spears tighter. They understand what it means. The vision is a sign the Great Spirit has spoken. The people will stand, and they will win. Preparation for battle days pass. The air thickens with summer heat. The river runs low, slow, and red with clay. Hunters bring in buffalo, drying the meat for the coming march. Women sew fresh moccasins. Children help gather wood and water. The camp hums with purpose. Quiet, efficient, waiting. You spend your days walking among the lodges, listening. You speak to the young men, the ones who still smile when they hold their bows. You remind them what they fight for: the land, the buffalo, the ancestors. You tell them that courage is not anger, that strength comes from the spirit, not just the arm. One night, you visit the lodge of Goal, one of your closest war leaders. He is sharpening his knife by the firelight, his face hard and thoughtful. They say Custer himself leads them. He says, not looking up. He wants glory. He'll get it. You nod slowly. He wants to make his name on our bones. Let him try. Goal smiles faintly. Then we'll give him a story the white men will never forget. Outside, thunder rumbles far away. The first storm in weeks, you look toward the horizon, where black clouds gather like an army. Lightning flashes across the plains, white and jagged, splitting the sky. You feel the wind shift, the kind of wind that carries change. The next morning, scouts ride in from the south. Dust covers their faces, their ponies are lathered with sweat. They bring news: soldiers have crossed the river, hundreds of them, riding hard toward the valley. The time has come. The calm before the battle. That night, you cannot sleep. The camp is quiet except for the crackle of fires and the whisper of grass in the dark. You sit alone outside your lodge, the pipe in your hand glowing faintly red. Smoke rises in thin spirals into the cold air. You think of the generations before, the old ones who hunted when the land was endless, when the buffalo covered the plains like moving clouds. You think of the children sleeping in the lodges now, their faces peaceful, unaware of what the dawn will bring. You whisper to the Great Spirit, asking only for strength, not victory. For courage, not vengeance. In the distance, drums begin to beat again, slow, deep, echoing across the valley. The sound grows until it fills the night. Warriors emerge from their lodges, painted and armed. The smell of sage and sweat mixes with the cool air. Women stand at the edges of the camp, singing softly, prayers for protection, for safe return. You rise and walk to the center of camp, where the sacred fire still burns from the sun dance. The embers glow orange and gold. Around you, the warriors gather, Crazy Horse among them, silent and steady. His eyes shine in the firelight, calm as stone. He looks at you and nods once. It will be a good day, he says. You answer simply yes. A good day to defend the earth. The first pale light of dawn creeps over the hills. The mist lifts from the grass. Horses stamp and snort, feeling the tension in their riders. Far away, the sound of gunfire cracks faintly. The soldiers are near. You climb the ridge and look out over the valley. Below you, the Little Bighorn River glitters in the morning sun. Across the water, dust rises. Columns of men on horseback, their rifles glinting. The vision comes back to you, soldiers falling from the sky. You feel the truth of it in your chest. You close your eyes and breathe the morning air, tasting earth and smoke and destiny. The storm has come. The spirit before the fire, as the warriors take their places. You remain near the center of camp, your role not to fight but to pray. You kneel beside the sacred fire, lifting your pipe to the four directions. To the rising sun, the setting sun, the north wind, and the heart of the earth. Each direction answers in its own way. A gust of wind, a flash of sunlight, a cry of an eagle high above. The signs are clear, the spirits are with you. You can feel it, the weight of history pressing on this single morning. The world seems to hold its breath. Even the birds have gone silent. From beyond the ridge comes the thunder of hooves, not of buffalo, but of horses and men in uniform. Their bugles echo through the valley, sharp and alien against the ancient rhythm of the drums. You look to the horizon and whisper a final prayer. Let our children remember that we stood. Let the earth remember we fought for her. And then, as the first shots ring out across the river, you feel it. The sky itself seems to tremble, the wind carrying both the cries of men and the voices of ancestors. This is the moment your vision promised. The soldiers are falling from the sky. The storm has broken. The wind has changed. You feel it in the grass, in the horse's breath, in the air itself, tight as a bowstring. Morning light spills across the Little Bighorn Valley, pale and thin, painting the ridges in gold. You stand near the river, the camp spread wide and alive behind you. A sea of lodges, smoke curling softly upward. The scent of sage and sweat and wood smoke clings to everything. Somewhere, a mother hums to her child, unaware that history itself is gathering at the edges of the hills. You are Tatanka Iotake, Sitting Bull, holy man of the Hunkpapa Lakota. You have seen this day in visions. You have felt it in your bones. Now it has come. The first sound it begins as a faint tremor, the thudding of distant hooves rolling through the earth. The dogs lift their heads and bark. Warriors near the river pause in their chores, listening. Then someone shouts, pointing toward the south ridge. Dust, a low brown cloud rising fast, soldiers riding hard. You move through the camp swiftly, calling out orders in Lakota. Messengers race from lodge to lodge. Drums begin to beat, not for ceremony but for war. The rhythm is steady, grounding, the pulse of a nation about to defend its heart. Women pull children inside. The old men gather weapons, short bows, rifles taken from previous fights. The young warriors mount their ponies, faces painted, braids flying in the wind. The air is alive now, the sound of hooves, the crack of gunfire far off. The cries of men and women rising together in a strange, fierce harmony. You walk to the riverbank and kneel, dipping your hands into the cold water. You whisper a prayer to the Great Spirit, your voice low and calm. Make our hearts strong. Let the earth remember our courage. When you stand, you can see them clearly. Custer's 7th Cavalry, their blue coats flashing in the sun, their flags bright as blood. They ride in 2 columns, the first striking near the southern end of camp, the second. Custer's men, circling from the north. They think they will surprise you. They do not know the camp holds thousands, more than 2,000 warriors from every corner of the plains. The battle begins. The first shots tear through the morning air. Sharp, metallic cracks that echo off the river. Horses rear and scream. The women cry out, gathering the children, pushing them toward the far side of the valley. You see Gol charge first, his horse kicking up water as he crosses the river. Bullets hiss past him, snapping through the reeds. He rides low, rifle in hand, his face set in quiet fury. Others follow. Crazy Horse, 2 Moon, Lame White Man. Their voices calling out in Lakota. Defend the children, defend the land. The soldiers fire in volleys, white smoke bursting from their rifles. The smell of gunpowder stings your nose. The sky darkens with dust and smoke. You move among the lodges, not as a warrior but as a guide, shouting prayers, calming the frightened, directing the fighters toward the river crossings. The sound of gunfire grows steady, rhythmic. It feels almost like thunder. The cavalry tries to push across the stream, but the horses falter in the mud, their riders shouting, confused. Arrows and bullets rain down from the bluffs above. You can see the panic starting in their ranks.
Wantawate! Someone shouts, "Good victory!"
For a heartbeat, you close your eyes. You can see your vision again, soldiers falling from the sky. The sound of their cries mingles with the wind. The hill and the trap. By midday, the valley burns with heat and noise. The air is thick with dust and gun smoke. The scent of blood mingles with sage. You climb a small rise to see the field. From here, you can see both wings of the battle. Major Reno's men are already broken. Many have fled across the river to hide in the cottonwoods. The Lakota press them hard, driving them back. To the north, across the ridges, you glimpse Custer's column, about 210 men, moving fast along the high ground. Their flags wave, bright and foolish against the vast plain. They have not yet realized what waits below. You ride toward that direction, the sun blazing against your back. You pass warriors painting their faces with red earth, women tending the wounded, horses streaked with foam and blood. When you reach the northern ridge, you see Crazy Horse there, motionless on his horse, watching. His hair is tied back, his face calm, almost serene. He nods when he sees you. "They're trapped," he says quietly. You look and see it. Custer's men have ridden too far. The river cuts off their retreat. The Lakota encircle them from all sides. Cheyenne from the west, Oglala from the south, Hunkpapa from the east. Custer's line collapses into confusion. The men fire wildly, reloading too fast, too frantic. Horses scream, plunging into the dust. It is as if your vision has come alive before your eyes. The soldiers are falling from the sky. The earth trembles. You do not fight. That is not your task. You watch, pray, and bear witness. Bullets whine past your ears, slapping into the earth. The air shivers with each explosion. The sun beats down mercilessly, 90 degrees dry wind, the smell of sweat and iron everywhere. Custer's men form a small circle on the ridge, firing outward. Their faces are pale, eyes wide. Some are barely more than boys. Farm sons from Ohio and Kentucky, faces that have never seen this land before. You feel no hate, only sorrow. A Cheyenne warrior beside you mutters, "They should have listened. This is our ground." You nod. The Great Plains stretch wide and endless, sacred as any temple. The wind here carries memory, the hooves of buffalo, the songs of ancestors, the prayers of every child born beneath this sky. Now it carries gunfire and death. The circle tightens. You can see Custer himself, his hair bright as gold in the sun, shouting orders no one can hear. His horse stumbles, dust swirls around him. Then he is gone, swallowed by smoke and chaos. It is over in less than an hour. After the storm, when the shooting stops, the silence is unbearable. Only the wind moves. You ride slowly among the fallen. The grass is trampled flat, the river red with mud. The air smells of blood, gunpowder, and rain. Men from every tribe walk the field, their faces expressionless. Some sing death songs for those who fell, both Lakota and white. Others gather weapons or tend to the wounded. There is no triumph here, only stillness. You dismount and kneel, touching the earth. It feels warm beneath your fingers, alive with the pulse of what has been done. In your chest, something breaks, not with sound, but with understanding. You have won this battle, yes, but you have seen enough visions to know the war is not over. The white men will come again, in greater numbers, with more hunger, more iron. You whisper to the wind withstood today. The earth remembers. The wind answers softly like a sigh. The weight of victory that night, the camp glows with firelight. The people sing songs of courage and mourning. Drums echo across the valley, steady as a heartbeat. You sit by the river with Gull and Crazy Horse, silent for a long time. The moon rises red through the smoke. Gal finally speaks. They will not stop, he says. Even now they're gathering more. Crazy Horse nods. We can fight 100 times, and still they'll come. You look at the water, smooth and dark. Then we fight not to win, but to remember who we are. For a while no one speaks. The fire crackles, the night cools. Children sleep near their mothers. Somewhere a coyote calls lonely and thin. You take out your pipe, light it carefully, and pass it between you. The smoke rises slowly, curling into the stars. Each breath feels heavier than the last, smoke, memory, and prophecy blending together. In the distance, lightning flashes over the black hills, faint, silent. A reminder that storms never truly end, they only move farther down the sky. Echoes of the fallen the next morning, the sun rises pale and thin. The valley looks almost peaceful again, as if nothing happened. Only the trampled grass and the smoke, stained air remember. You walk among your people. Children play beside the river again, their laughter soft but hesitant. Women hang meat to dry, the men repair arrows and saddles. Life continues, it always does, but beneath it all, a heaviness lingers. You can feel it in every heartbeat. Messengers arrive from the west, soldiers are already coming from other forts. Thousands of them. The Great Father in Washington will not rest. This victory, though glorious, has awakened the Empire's full wrath. You look toward the horizon, where the land seems endless. You know what's coming. The slow tightening of borders, the treaties broken, the buffalo vanishing one by one. You lift a handful of earth, feel it sift through your fingers, warm, sacred, yours, and yet, you know, it cannot be held. The spirit remains that evening, the people gather once more. The elders burn sage, the young ones sit quietly. You speak not as a warrior, but as a father, a teacher, a man who has seen both visions and blood. Our victory today is a breath, you say, but the spirit is eternal. As long as one Lakota child can speak our tongue, as long as one drum beats under the stars we live. The people listen. Some cry softly, some smile. The fire flickers on their faces, casting them half in shadow, half in light, like the world itself. You raise your hand toward the stars. The Great Spirit does not measure victory in land or gold, but in the strength of the heart. The camp falls silent. Then someone begins to sing, low, slow, rising into the night. The melody carries over the river, up the hills, into the endless sky. You close your eyes. The wind touches your face. Somewhere in that quiet, you feel them. The ancestors, the ones who stood before you, standing still beside you. They whisper, you did not fail. And though you know the battles ahead will be harder, that the years will bring hunger, exile, and sorrow, for this moment, the world feels balanced again. The soldiers are gone, the plains breathe, the children sleep. The stars shine down like ancient eyes, remembering everything. The years pass, and time itself softens like grass in the wind. The gunfire is gone now. The riders have vanished into dust. The great herds no longer shake the earth, but the plains still breathe, slow, steady, alive. Somewhere beyond the horizon, a river wends through stone and willow. The sun sinks low, casting gold across the land once called the Great Sioux Nation. And though your body rests beneath that soil, your spirit walks still, quiet, unbroken, watching. You are no longer bound by hunger or pain or the weight of defeat. You are the whisper in the wind, the rustle of cottonwood leaves, the cry of the lone hawk circling above the bluffs. You are Tatanka Iotake, the sitting bull, and your story has not ended. It has simply changed form. The plains remember when the snow melts each spring. The rivers rise again. The Missouri, the Yellowstone, the Little Bighorn, carving their eternal paths across the grasslands. The earth forgets no footsteps. Every hill, every valley still remembers the drumbeats, the chants, the war cries, the laughter of children chasing the dawn. Your people have changed, yes. The buffalo robes replaced by cotton shirts, the lodges by wooden houses. But their hearts still turn toward the old ways. Elders gather the young around fires and say, listen to the wind. It carries the songs of those who came before. They speak your name softly, not as legend, but as kin. Some say you walk in the storms, watching over them. Others say you return as the white eagle that flies over the standing rock on summer mornings, circling 3 times before vanishing into light. Even the land whispers it. Every gust that sweeps across the prairie seems to murmur Tatanka Iotake, remember. The new world, the iron rails you once feared now snake endlessly across the continent. Trains roar through valleys where the Lakota once hunted elk and deer. Towns rise where the herds once grazed, their names carved in English. Bismarck, Pierre, Deadwood. Echoes of conquest stamped upon sacred earth. And yet, within those towns your image endures, painted on murals carved in bronze, worn on pendants and coins. To the white man you have become a symbol of courage, of rebellion, of something pure they could not destroy. In schools, children read your name in their books, Sitting Bull, the chief who would not bow. They speak of your defiance at the Little Bighorn, but they do not always understand what you truly fought for. You did not fight for glory or revenge. You fought for memory, for the right to exist as your ancestors had, under the wide sky of freedom. You did not wish to destroy America. You only wished to remain yourself. That truth, like the river, cannot be fenced. Dream of the old world at times, your spirit wanders back to the world as it was. The air thick with the scent of sage and sweetgrass, the sound of drums rolling like thunder. You see the great camp circles stretching across the plains. Hundreds of teepees glowing under starlight, laughter echoing between them. The old songs rise again, low and strong. The people dance, not in defiance now, but in joy. Children run beside the fires, their shadows long across the earth. You walk among them unseen, and yet they feel you. The faint chill in the breeze, the weight of peace in their hearts. You see your mother again, her hands busy with beadwork. You see the warriors of your youth, Gull, Crazy Horse, 2 moons, gathered beside the river, watching the horizon. You see the buffalo, countless and proud, rolling like waves of brown and black beneath a silver moon. For a moment, the old world breathes again. Whole, unbroken, eternal. The storyteller's fire in the years after your death. Many stories are told, some true, some not. The newspapers twist your words, the photographers pose your memory for profit. But your people remember differently. They do not speak of you as a killer or a rebel. They speak of your laughter, your quiet strength, the way you prayed for your enemies before battle. They remember your visions. How you saw the soldiers falling like grasshoppers, how you told your people not to fear. They remember your final words, let them come. I am not afraid to die. Those words become more than defiance. They become medicine. A reminder that courage is not in killing, but in standing unbroken before what seeks to break you. Every winter, when the snow drifts high and the nights are long, someone lights a small fire and begins the story again. There was once a man named Sitting Bull. He dreamed of freedom, and though they took his life, they could not take his spirit. And so your name lives, not on paper, but in sound, in memory, in heartbeat. The children of the plains generations pass. The Lakota children go to government schools, learn English words, wear foreign clothes. But when they return home, they still sit by the river and watch the wind move through the grass like an ocean. In that motion, something ancient stirs. They feel your presence, a warmth, a strength, an invisible hand guiding them toward pride. Some of them grow to be leaders, teachers, artists, activists. They speak of sovereignty, of identity, of keeping the flame alive. They say your name on stages, in classrooms, in protest lines. They carry your face on banners, your words on their lips. The white man knows how to make everything, but he does not know how to distribute it. Your wisdom, once whispered in tents and prayer circles, now echoes through microphones and documentaries. It crosses oceans, inspiring others who have lost their land, their language, their power, reminding them that dignity cannot be taken, only forgotten. And you will not let them forget. The circle restored in Lakota belief, all things move in circles. The sun, the seasons, the life of man. The circle is broken by greed, by conquest, by forgetting, but it always seeks to heal. And now, generations later, the circle begins to close again. The buffalo return to the plains in small herds, protected by those who once hunted them. Sacred ceremonies are held again openly, no longer forbidden by law. Young people learn the Lakota language in schools, their voices bright with pride. The old songs are recorded, the old drums beat once more. You watch this from beyond the veil, a silent witness to the slow rebirth of the people you loved. They call themselves the Oshri, the aka, the 7 council fires, and though scattered, they burn again with the light of remembrance. You smile, and the wind stirs the grass. A dream of return night falls again across the plains. The stars appear one by one, the same stars you prayed beneath when you were young. You walk toward the horizon, not as a ghost, but as part of the world itself. The earth hums beneath your feet, the sky opens above you. Somewhere far below, a child wakes in a tipi, whispering your name. A flame flickers beside her as her grandmother's voice tells the old tale. He was the one who stood when all others bowed. The child listens, eyes wide, heart full of quiet fire. And in that moment, you live again. Through her breath, through her courage, through her memory, the wind rises, carrying her laughter into the night, and it becomes the sound of hooves. Thousands of buffalo running once more across an endless sea of grass. You lift your eyes to the heavens. There, the northern lights shimmer, green and blue curtains of spirit dancing across the sky. The ancestors move among them, singing softly. They are calling you home. You walk toward the light, not in sorrow but in peace. The journey is complete. The circle has closed. The spirit returns to where it began.